Hi everybody, welcome to Livewire Review. My name's Jeremy.
I'm Matt.
And welcome to the 2024 Volvo XC40 Recharge Twin. Well, without further ado, let's get into it.
So I'm under the back of the XC40 now, and right above my head here is our rear permanent magnet motor. This one is a 190 kilowatt motor that makes 255 horsepower. And new for 2024, Volvo now designs and builds all their own motors, which is super cool. And honestly, this one does the majority of the work here in the back. And from our testing, it's been awesome. Now, this sends all the power right out to the back tires. These are staggered. These are massive 255/40 R20 in the back, putting tons of rubber on the ground, but also eating up a little bit of that usable range. And we'll talk more about that, of course, when we're in the car. Anything else to note back here? We don't have adjustable dampers in the rear, but the ride is quite nice. That's about it. There's nothing crazy under here that I've noticed when poking around. Nothing that jumps out at me to say, oh my God, I need to mention that. It's just a standard suspension and it just does a really good job.
So now I'm at the front end of the Volvo XC40 Recharge Twin, and twin means all-wheel drive in this one. So that means there is a front motor in this. Now, I'm very happy to report that it has a 110 kilowatt, 147 horsepower induction motor in the front. Now that's really important to note because an induction motor means that it is actually a simpler design. There is no disconnect needed. An induction motor can turn on in milliseconds, so that means the all-wheel drive is almost instantaneous. It also means that there's less drag on the system and less to go wrong. Now, just like the back, the front motor is also designed by Volvo in-house and built by Volvo. They are no longer borrowed parts from Polestar. Now, when we look at the suspension up front, I see a single ball joint setup with a McPherson strut, so there's nothing really to talk about here, and there are no adjustable dampers. It is running staggered setup, 235/45 R20 Pirelli Scorpion electric specific tires. Now, they are on 20-inch rims, so that is going to cut into your range. I would actually recommend the 19-inch rims on this car just to gain back some of that range. Now, the battery, on the other hand, is the same battery as the year before. It's a 78 kilowatt hour battery with 75 kilowatt hours usable.
So here in the trunk on the Volvo, you get a pretty large space. We're talking 578 liters or 20.4 cubic feet of storage area. You're also getting a decent little underfloor storage, not a ton, but I mean, it's pretty deep, maybe about 6 inches or so of stuff, plus a little bit of a deeper chasm there. Volvo does also provide you with just an adapter to plug in whatever your setup is at home, which is always nice to get you going. Besides that, a little bit of lighting, a single 12 volt, a ski pass through in the middle, and you do get a package tray up here in the window, but relatively speaking, pretty simple. Now, you also do get more storage once you drop those seats. You get 1,328 liters of storage or 46.9 cubic feet. It's massive. Now, you can also take the package tray out to gain that height as well. So you do get a lot of storage back here for moving, bigger stuff when you do need to. You do have to flip down the seats, and it's kind of cool. You can flip down the rear headrest from a menu inside the computer. It's just kind of fun to go whoop, 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 whoop. Just, little quirky things I like to do.
Okay, I'm in the back seat of the XC40 now, and I'm happy to report that there is room for my legs, even with the driver's seat in my seating position. As you can see here, they're actually fairly thin, so it leaves us lots of room for that. And I am 6'1" tall, and as you can see, I still fit in here. There's about an inch of headroom still left here, even with this panoramic sunroof that you get in the top Ultimate model. Now, there's not a lot to talk about here in the back, but there are heated seats, which is excellent, and they have a 12-volt cigarette lighter. Actually, I apologize. These are USB-C ports. It is not a cigarette lighter. And it's nice that they give you vents here in the back. Once again, I love this kind of simple engineering. It means that the vehicle is going to be more reliable over time because it's not overcomplicated in the HVAC department. Outside of that, there are no built-in sunshades back here. There's only a couple of small hooks and a little bit of lighting here. Outside of that, there is a hump in the floor. Now that is because this is shared with an ICE model, and it is actually quite the large hump. So I'm gonna say only 4 people can sit in here comfortably, and you are definitely only gonna be able to fit 2 car seats in the back here. And this should only be used for very short trips. So I'm here under the hood of the XC40 Recharge now, and you'll notice these beautiful LED headlights, and there is a nice feature with these headlights. Whenever you turn the steering wheel at night, one fog light will turn on in the direction that you are turning. So it is a handy feature to give you a little more illumination when you're going around those corners, similar to what the Hyundai Kona Electric did with those little side turning lights. But it's just nice that they're using the fog lights that are already there, and the fact that they use LED fog lights to begin with. You'll see parking sensors on the front here, and this one does come with a 360-degree camera with the bird's eye view. Now, looking under the hood, you actually can't see anything. There's a plastic cover all the way across here, but it does come with a frunk. That is a 31-liter frunk that gives you a little bit of extra storage space. The only other thing you can access under here is the washer fluid bottle. Now, outside of that, Volvo comes with headlight washers, which is not something that you're going to see on other cars in this segment. And I just wanted to point out how beautiful this car is. I personally would not pick this blue color that is on here, but I do like the two-tone effect with the black roof. I think it is a very good-looking vehicle. So I'm here on the side of the XC40 Recharge, and I just wanted to point out the charge port here. Now, it's in a spot that I really like. It's on the back corner on the driver's side, the same spot that you'll find on the Tesla products. So that's going to be really handy when they have access to that Tesla supercharger network. You'll be able to back in and use them just like a Tesla car, so those short cables will plug in just fine. Now, it does come with a CCS port for 2024, and on a 150 kilowatt DC fast charger, you can expect a 10 to 80% charging time of about 34 minutes on your road trip. Okay, so now it's time to go for a drive. This is where we're going to talk about all the unique features of the XC40 Recharge. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about that accelerator pedal, because in a lot of EVs, they offer one pedal driving, but usually the dynamics of it are a little funky, or the accelerator pedal is a little bit too soft for me to use it. This is one of the few EVs where I've actually left it in one pedal driving mode because they modulate it really well. There is only basically one driving mode in this car, but the bottom end of the pedal, it has very shallow movements. So it allows you to control the car really precisely. But then when you push it past a certain point, it gives you the power that you want. So it gives you all the control you want in one pedal driving.
You can really dial in the regen. So if you're the kind of person that wants to slow down early and then kind of casually roll up to the stop like I do, then you got lots of choices in this pedal, which is nice.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, you get into and out of these vehicles so often, and everybody does it a little different. It's kind of interesting. It's like, you know, we all understand if I say it has a USB charger, we understand what that is. But if I say it has one pedal driving, well, is that true one pedal, or does it freewheel when it hits 10 kilometers an hour?
Or does it just feel really bad?
Or do you still have to use the brake? Does it actually activate the regen, or does it just glide? Like, what does it actually do? Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Nissan.
So it's got fairly strong regen, but it's not completely. So if you need to slow down a little faster, the brake pedal is still blended and it does regen. But the precise control of that power is what's really impressive in this vehicle. When you let it go to a complete stop, it goes to such a serene and perfect stop. No hobby horsing, no interesting things happening from the suspension. It's just smooth, and that's what I really like about it. And I didn't realize it at first because it was so smooth.
Everything about this car is smooth.
Yeah,
you know, it's comfortable. It's planted. Everything about it is just nice.
Yeah.
There's no
surprises.
No surprises. Right? It acts its cost. I'm gonna put it that way.
No irritations.
Yes, I'm not like I spent how much and it does that. There's none of that going on when I'm driving this thing.
Now, if we talk about price right now, this starts at 66,000 Canadian and goes up to 77,000 Canadian. Or in US dollars, we're looking about $55,000 to $61,000. Now, that is in a price point for electric cars that makes sense, especially a mid-level luxury class. I know like this is a low-level Volvo in the luxury class, but it's still in that luxury class for EVs. It compares with the Model Y, it compares with other EVs on the market that are mid-level SUVs. And it does a pretty good job for its price point. You don't get leather, but you do get this like Alcantara type center of the seat with a synthetic leather on the sides. They're not heavily bolstered, but it does come with some unique features. We have 255 millimeter tires on the back, 235 on the front, staggered with the 20-inch wheel option. I would recommend the 19s. You'll get a slightly better ride, Not that this ride is bad.
No, not
With
at
these
all.
20-inch tires on these electric Pirelli Scorpion tires, you hit the cracks on the road and they're soaked up really well for something that only has rubber bands on it. We're talking 40 series tires on the back here.
Acoustically, the wider surface gives you a little bit more of that tom-tom drum effect when you're bumping over stuff. Like I can hear them all, but I can't feel them. So
But it's nice.
Give and take.
It's planted. So they obviously went for a very sport feel with this, despite the fact that it is a single ball joint setup. A lot of Swedish cars don't have that. They have that double ball joint. It feels really good. I'm quite impressed with how the suspension is set up. It didn't need adjustable dampers. It didn't need air suspension to be good. It's tuned really well.
It is. It really is, actually. And like, it's by no means geared towards sport, but I mean, it's stiff when I want it to be, and it's comfortable the rest of the time.
Yeah, it doesn't crash like the Tesla suspension, right?
Interesting in a suspension system.
Yeah, because we had the Genesis GV70 the week before, and it did a lot of rocking. And even with adjustable dampers, we didn't really find a spot that was perfectly smooth. This is smooth. It damps everything. It comes to a stop smoothly. I really like the ride in this car.
I do, and we've got a pretty good S-bend coming up here on the road in a second. I know this stretch of road, so I'm going to throw it through 2 curves and just kind of feel how it reacts. I haven't really had a chance to put it through its paces yet, so I'm curious to see how we do.
Yeah, so here in the twin motor version, we're looking 402 horsepower and 494 pound-feet of torque, which in a vehicle that weighs as much as it does, it actually moves pretty quickly. It goes 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. It feels quicker than that, I'll be honest. When you put your foot down, boy, does this thing ever boogie.
All right, so we're coming into this corner now, so I'm going to take it from a pretty slow start. Give myself a little break in traffic there in front of me.
Yeah, because it gets up to speed pretty quick.
Exactly.
Let's see how planted this is.
And this is just in, does this thing have drive modes, terrain modes that we've really played with yet?
Driving, lane keeping, one pedal drive, steering, no.
Standard
or off-road.
All right, well, let's say standard because we're not off-road.
That's correct.
All right, well, here we go. Whoop!
Okay, you can feel almost 500 foot-pounds of torque in this thing.
Oh, in a hurry. All right, so first 90 degree coming up here. I do like the one pedal in the 90s. I don't have to think about moving my foot. Just kind of where it needs to be.
Okay, look, it moves you to the side.
It sticks. Whoop. It sticks, though. I took that corner at 86, 87, give or take.
Yep, and there is this one bump that I go over on the way home every day, and it passes that bump test. It doesn't lift and spin the tires when you go over that while accelerating. So, it is quite planted.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, by no means did any part of this brochure say geared for sport and excitement. No, not at all. Not in the Volvo, vocabulary even, but that was fun. I enjoyed it. Yep. I'd throw it around that corner. I'm going to throw it around this corner too. I'd throw it around a few corners again just to have fun.
Okay, that sticks really well.
Yeah, like for a mid-size CUV style vehicle, that performs better than I expected.
Yeah, that's on electric car tires too.
Very little roll, very little, like, I didn't feel top heavy at all despite where we're sitting, like ground seating position wise.
Yeah.
I expected a little more body roll, but there's just not much.
It's such an interesting mix. I know we the word crossover is thrown around all the time, but it really is a crossover with staggered tires that are really wide and that low center of gravity and the massive amount of power in here. This really does fill that crossover need. It drives like a sports car, and it still has, I think, about 7.1 inches of ground clearance, which isn't all that much, but still, it's good enough for a crossover SUV.
It has an off-road driving mode, so I mean, sure, I don't think I'd take it much more than, maybe a gnarly gravel road, just because, but, I'm more commenting on the tires at that point. It comes with a set of Pirelli Scorpion tires.
I have a surprise for you, actually. Today, I have brought in my son's, here, let's see if we can focus up on this.
XC40
This
off-road.
is an XC40 Recharge, and this is an off-road
Baja
vehicle.
edition? Of course it is.
Okay, so if you kit it out with the right materials, you will be able to take this thing off-road.
Okay.
So you may not get the range, but you can take it off-road.
Well done. I was not expecting that. But commenting on just the tires we have here today, the Pirelli Scorpions are not necessarily the tires that I want if I'm going off-road.
Yeah.
On-road, They stick, they grab, they're great. Off-road, I want something different. But again, with the ground clearance, with everything else that this thing does, I wouldn't hesitate to take it down, you know, the cottage road, so to speak.
Yeah.
As need be. You know, get into that, get down that farm road if I had to. No big deal. But I wouldn't be pushing it beyond that.
So that brings me into the audio system. As you know, I'm the audiophile between the two of us.
Yep.
The last vehicle that we drove, it was missing bass. This one is not. This one has a Harman Kardon 13 speaker system. With the different trim packages, you can get different numbers of speakers and sound quality. This one is very good. It does not have like sub 20 hertz deep bass hits, but it has a really good subwoofer, and the subwoofer is within the cabin because it's not a sedan, it doesn't have a trunk. So the sound in here is really good. The sound stage is really good. It mimics a surround sound in one of its settings. A lot of vehicles would benefit from having the tweeters up here to give you a more well-rounded sound, but even without those tweeters, and the tweeters are just down here, they sound really good. So I'm quite happy with the sound system and how it works with the acoustics in here.
And coupled with that sound system, just the overall ambiance in this vehicle, it does a lot in here. You've got your mishmash of piano black mixed with a little bit of chrome trim, and I do like the texturing in both the dashboard and the doors. You get a little bit of everything, which is nice. And I haven't seen it yet, and you know, we'll maybe throw it to a shot here at night, but these panels they illuminate.
Yeah, they're black. They're black in the daytime, but they actually show up as like an off-white color at nighttime, and they're textured, so they show like a rock face almost. It's very cool.
We'll show you here. It's really neat, and this is just the attentions to detail that I expect from Volvo, B in this price point. And I think in terms of the interior, they've hit it. Not having a ton of seat time in this thing, but just going off what I feel in my butt currently, I'm not a big fan of this seat.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's comfortable, but there's no massaging. There is memory seats in it.
Yeah.
They are heated. There's no cooling feature in them.
Yeah, if I pump up the lumbar, maybe a little better, but still not like...
Yeah.
No better than any other car I've ever sat in. I'm not writing home about them, that's for sure.
Well, at least it fits in the class that it's priced at. So, speaking of this panoramic sunroof, it's very interesting here. It's not a physical button. This is a touch slider. So to open this sunshade, you take your finger and you slide it across. And the same thing to open the sunroof after. You just take your finger and you slide it across, and then it opens the sunroof. It took me a minute to figure that one out. But look at that expansive glass. Doesn't that look amazing?
It does.
And then once you're used to it, you slide it. Oh, let's maybe do that again.
There we go.
And then it's a full auto close.
Neat.
And then you slide it again to put the sunshade all the way across. And that sunshade is very handy because this glass is not tinted well enough to not have a sunshade.
Yeah, I caught that. As soon as you opened it, I started kind of squinting a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Even pulling uphill. Oh my goodness gracious. So what is our combined number in this vehicle? I know we mentioned the forward and aft motor powers, but overall, what are we looking at?
So when we're talking about range in this vehicle, in the city, you're going to go 378 kilometers or 234 miles.
Okay.
Highway numbers, we're looking 320 kilometers or 198 miles. And the combined is 350 kilometers or 217 miles. In my testing, the range is about 360 kilometers. It is possible to get 400 plus kilometers out of this vehicle, but not in normal driving and not with the 20-inch rims, is what I'm gonna say. This is why I'd recommend the 19-inch rims. And if you want all-out range, you have to go for the rear-wheel drive version of this car, because that one does not come with a 78 kilowatt-hour battery. It comes with an 82 kilowatt-hour battery, coupled with those 19-inch rims. You can push as much as 471 kilometers of range. So it really does matter what model you get, what kind of range you're going to expect. Now those are modest range numbers. It actually comes in very similar to the Ioniq 5 that we tested, which was almost dead on at 320 and 360 in our testing.
Nice.
So that brings me on to one of the most important features of an electric car, something that is missing from the Hyundai products. One of the best EVs on the market is the Hyundai products. They have built in Google Maps in this system. Now that is great. Google Maps are great. They help you find an address, and it is a connected service so that you can look up addresses that maybe are not in your navigation system.
Yeah.
But the cherry on top of that is what makes a Tesla so good. The ability to get into it and drive from A to B without thinking. So using the Google Maps, they have integrated a system where it actually estimates your charge level on arrival at your destination. And that is something every electric car should have. And so far, I've only seen it in this Volvo and in Tesla products. So I'm glad to see that this product is so good because Volvo has a commitment to make fully electric vehicles by 2030. And right now, every one of their products actually has some sort of electrification in it. Whether it's a mild hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or a full electric, you have all the options across the board of some sort of electrification. Now, in 2025 and after, you're actually going to get the Tesla NACS port as a native port on this vehicle, and we are going to be seeing an adapter for this vehicle to charge on the Tesla superchargers soon. That will probably be coming later on this year or early next year. So just as we pull in here and we finish off our recording, I wanted to talk about the cruise control system. It is on the opposite side. It is on by your left hand, which I'm not quite used to. So it takes me some getting used to.
That is a little odd.
But I do like how simple it is. All you have to do is press the button in the middle to set your cruise control. And when you press up and down, it goes by increments of 5 kilometers an hour. So it's just really easy to use on the fly, and it's really good for muscle memory. The cluster also displays your maps. It's actually a fairly simple thing. It's not very customizable. It either shows the map or it doesn't, and it shows the trip computer or it doesn't. That's all you get up there. And in our testing, I've seen about 20 kilowatt hours per 100. So that gave us that range figure of around 360 kilometers.
Yeah, overall, this thing is, it is a pleasure to drive. I certainly wouldn't hate to get behind the wheel, and that brings me to a fun little story. When I got in and Jeremy handed me the key and he said, okay, put it in drive. And I said, okay. And then I started looking around for a start-stop button, to which there is none.
Yep, that's right.
There is no start-stop button. And for me, that was very foreign.
But for me, I was very used to it. I'm pretty bad at leaving cars on nowadays because I drive a Tesla as my day-to-day.
Yep.
So this is very Tesla-esque in the fact that you get in, you press the brake pedal, and all you do is put it in reverse or drive, and you just take off. And when you get out, it doesn't auto-lock, but it shuts the car off for you.
It was very strange to me to just shift a car when it wasn't awake yet.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm ready. And now we're parked and we're here, and all I got to do is seatbelt, door, and the car has now shut itself off.
That's right. So
That's
I think it's
super
time
cool.
to wrap up our thoughts.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
So at the end of this one here, I have an interesting takeaway on this vehicle. It kind of sits in the market as a little overpriced, underwhelmed. That's kind of where I'm at with this product. But you know what? You really got to approach it from that Volvo side of things. If you are looking for that pedigree, you know, Volvo has always kind of prided themselves on that 5-star safety rating across the board. This thing will definitely meet all those expectations. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it's got all those luxurious features that you're looking for in a Volvo product. Not to mention, they've definitely made some tweaks for 24 that have made this thing better. Size-wise overall, little small. There's other products on the market that are a little bit bigger, again, at that price point. But overall, it's not a terrible vehicle for that guy who's got a, you know, young family, shorter commute, in-town runaround. I think it's a good vehicle. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually like the overall package. I like the fact that the suspension doesn't crash. It feels really comfortable over those little bumps. Even though it has 20-inch rims on it, this thing feels really good on the road. I would actually recommend the one with the 19-inch rims, the mid-level model. Opt for that heat pump system, that way you get more range in the winter. The 19-inch rims for that better range. And overall, the package works really well. There's a frunk, you got decent storage in the back, and I like the fact that it's not that leather system. And I'm also going to bring out that Google system in here. Even though it seems to be a plain Jane system, the fact that you can enter your destination and know how much charge you're going to get at your destination, it really makes this a good vehicle. It's something that every electric car should have, is that ease of use, you know? And this is going to be one of the few on the market where you have that ease of use.
Exactly. So like I said, it's maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but some people out there are absolutely going to love this thing. Yeah.
So with that, If you found this video helpful, maybe like, subscribe to the channel, and always pay attention to what we're doing next.
Thanks for watching.